Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Everyone, welcome into the program. Today on the show we have computer and technology news, and ladies and gentlemen, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be a pretty fast one, and we're going to get through this. It's going to be fun. Everyone sit back, relax, and of course, remember, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows. We just put up all the different podcasts, including one that we didn't even air here on the live video stream over at twitch.tv/computeramerica. That was with Ralph Bond, and ladies and gentlemen, you should definitely go check that out. Available through either the YouTube channel or through the podcast. So it's always fun. You can go check that out. Now, in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started with computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. Here we go. Okay, and I wanted to kind of touch on this one first because, there's some things happening with Russia. What a crazy time to be alive. Well, this coming to us from multiple different sources, and you have this instance where now you have the U.S. government warning that the U.S. Russia's planning something with U.S. cyber infrastructure. And honestly, it just seems like the next level of escalation. Clearly, Russia and Ukraine have had two things. It's really a West versus Russia kind of deal. And, we've been supplying arms and resources and training, and people have been volunteering, going over there, fighting for Ukraine. There's been no formal engagement of the U.S. military in Ukraine, but there has been lots of words thrown around, support being given, and otherwise just a lot that America has done. And what they're kind of warning here is that the retaliation for that is, well, I guess in their case, is not, thankfully, not missiles towards America, but rather U.S. cyber warfare. And so let's find out what some of these threats, they're kind of worrying about here. This is coming to us from BBC Tech. And again, this is just one that I picked up from. A lot of different publications are reporting on this because, let's face it, when the U.S. government's the one who is putting the news out, you have to sit up and pay attention. So, here we go. Saying that President Joe Biden said on Monday that intelligence indicated a growing Russian cyber threat to the U.S. He said Russia was exploring cyber attack, but the U.S. would use every tool to prevent and respond to such a move. They suggested Moscow could act in retaliation for sanctions imposed on it after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And, so it's not looking good for any kind of, any kind of cease. It seems like Russia's going to escalate as much as the U.S. escalates, and hey, let's face it, that is the point of conflict. It's very rarely does it just kind of fizzle out of nowhere. So they said that they warned of a possible cyber attack from Russia, saying on February 24th that the U.S. was prepared to respond. On Monday, Mr. Biden said that the intelligence had been evolving and that the U.S. believes that the Russian government is exploring options. I'm sure what they're doing, and based on past actions and things that we've reported here on the show, what they're doing is looking at all the systems that they have embedded themselves into, everything that they have access to. They're calling upon every one of these, kind of hacking groups that we've heard so much about. The state-sponsored hacking, I'm sure that China has been, maybe even coordinating with them a little bit as well, because, hey, while China hasn't really picked a side here, it's very clear that China is trying to oppose the U.S. efforts as well. Because, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, that whole deal. So what does this all mean? Think about all the different hacks that we've reported here on the show. You have SolarWinds, which, was pretty much a backdoor to every Fortune 50 company. You had, payment systems, you had security systems, you had, things like Kaspersky that they could, of course, compelled to, kind of work with them. You have so many different pieces of malware that can be traced directly back to, to Russian sources. To say that, it's one thing to kind of joke about North Korea and their capabilities, and when they actually pull something off, it's, it's like, oh, wow, North Korea, they have computers. That's amazing. It's one thing to joke about that. Russia has been very, very active in this space for a long time. They would definitely be one of the larger adversaries. And, they don't need to be, crazy good at it, because a lot of the vulnerabilities that they exploit, think about pipelines and payment systems and schools and banks and so many more, even just basic DDoS attacks, they can cause a lot of harm. And imagine with gas prices the way that they are now, imagine if Russia decided to take out even more gas pipelines here in the United States. There would be a run on gas, there would be shortages, widespread, prices would go through the roof. It would be almost impossible to, not keep that price from hitting the everyday consumer. It could be very bad. And now you have President Biden also called for U.S. companies to accelerate efforts to lock their digital doors, saying that we have the power, the capacity, and the responsibility to strengthen the cybersecurity and resilience of critical services and technologies that Americans rely on. We need everyone to do their part, which, before it was like, if you were X company and you didn't take the proper precautions, you would have a bad headline run about you. Your stock price will go down a little bit. It would be bad for the moment, but it was whatever. Now what President Biden is saying is, hey, this is going to affect everyone. This is like national security interest. So the cybersecurity world has been braced for some sort of large cyber attack from Russia since tensions began building between Russia and Ukraine. Cyber authorities in the US, UK, and elsewhere have been warning not just about attacks on Ukraine, but the spillover as well. Because in the digital world, maybe half a world away, but digitally, it's just a couple of seconds. So the example authorities keep giving is the NotPetya wiper attack, which the US and EU have publicly blamed on the Russian military hackers. That malicious software spread uncontrollably in 2017 to take out thousands of businesses around the world and causing about $10 billion worth of damage. Yeah, this is going to have real impact if they decide to go all out on the cyber offensive. So although President Biden didn't explicitly say it, the concern seemed to be some sort of attack on critical U.S. infrastructure. The article talks about oil pipeline and things like that. The author mentions that on one hand, President Biden's warning is unsurprising and simply a repetition of the Shields Up initiative started by governments months ago. On the other hand, Western intelligence has been extremely effective at guessing the next move of the Kremlin. So, really, if they're warning about it and, this comes after the intelligence that the U.S. government got from Russia to Ukraine, saying that they were going to plan a full-blown invasion, and then they did just a couple of days later. I mean, yeah, this is something to definitely take note of, and hey, we'll let you know if anything really develops from that. So that was story number. That was story number 1. Story number 2. And again, this should be hopefully a very short show because, only have about 5 or 6 different shows. So check it out. Story number 2 is something, malware to malware. We can, kind of draw parallels here. But really, this one is going to be seeing is believing. And, I highly recommend that you go check out the video portion of this, because the cool part of this password phishing site isn't so much what it does, it's how it does it. And this is very, very cool. So check it out. This is a password phishing site that can trick even savvy users. And I would say, after looking at how they do it, yeah, even I would probably fall victim of this. So they give an example here of a site. This one in particular is called Canva. And you may notice this. You go to X random website, log in or sign up, and you can click either your Apple account, your Google account, your Facebook account, continue with an email with an account that you made with them personally. Ways that you can instantly authenticate this account. Now, on top of that, many people, I'm sure, just sign in with Google or Facebook or, create their own account. Very, very quick, very effective. The article goes into a bit about OAuth. OAuth, OAuth, which is the authentication system that's used to, or the protocol that's used to let's say Google, even without giving Canva your Gmail password, they can still authenticate that this is this is a user that we share, and hey, we'll share that information with you. So it's by exploiting OAuth, this secondary window usually pops up, and it's, sign in here, put in your email password, put in your phone number, we'll create an account, everything will be good. You provide us a piece of something that is unknown to anyone else, and we'll create an account for you. Now, Canva does this. They give an example of PayPal that does this, where you can see an additional window pop up to authenticate. And then usually, you put in your email, you put in your phone number, that window goes away, and you continue on to the service. Now, this one is called the BitB technique, capitalized on the scheme. Instead of opening a genuine second browser window that's connected to the site facilitating the login or payment, BitB uses a series of HTML and CSS to trick to convincingly spoof the second window. So the URL that appears there can show a valid address, complete with padlock and HTTPS prefix, which, if you're watching the video portion, we can show you an example of that here. That would be this image here, where you would say, they click here, sign in with Microsoft, and it looks like a full-blown window with the padlock. It's secure, login, MicrosoftSecureOnline.com. But yeah, the layout and behavior of the window appear identical to the real thing. A researcher using the handle Mr. Docs described the technique last week. His proof of concept exploit starts with a web page showing a painstakingly accurate spoof of Canva. In the event a visitor chooses to log in using Apple, Google, or Facebook, the fake Canva page opens a new page that embeds what looks like a familiar OAuth page. There you go. The new page is also a spoof. It includes all the graphics a person would expect with a Google login. The page also has legitimate Google address displayed in what appears to be the address bar. The new Windows behaves much like a browser window would if it was connected to a real Google OAuth session. If a victim opens the fake Canva page and tries to log in with Google, it will open a new browser window and go to what appears to be the URL accounts.google.com. In actuality, the fake Canva site doesn't open a new browser window. It makes it look like a new browser window has been opened. So obviously there you put in your password, your username. They now suddenly have everything, and potentially, it shuts down. It may think, oh, well, that just didn't work the first time. And then you go back, put it in again, and hey, it may even let you bypass to the actual service that you wanted to log into, knowing none the wiser that you just gave away your username and password. So the BitB technique is simple and effective enough that it's surprising it isn't better known. After they wrote about the technique, a small chorus of fellow researchers remarked how likely it would be for even the most experienced web user to fall for the trick. There you go. The browser, and actually he made a proof of concept template here. Let's see if we can click that. Oh, okay. So we would have to, yeah. Let's see, go here, go here, go here, go here. yeah. So with that being said, they have some quotes here from other researchers. BitB windows, by contrast, aren't a separate browser instance at all. Instead, they're images rendered on HTML and CSS. That means fake pages can't be resized, fully maximized, or dragged outside the primary window. So I guess that's one good, for me, I have my system task tray down there at the bottom, and I can see when a new instance of a browser is opened. If it was a legitimate second pop-up, then hey, you would see a new instance of the browser open. But if it's this pretty high, pretty sophisticated trick, you would not see that at all. So there are very little, very subtle things that you can do to, make sure that you're dealing with an actual service. But again, the point of this is that it's so accurate and so tricky that a new user wouldn't think anything of it. An experienced user would probably be fooled, 7 times out of 10. This is a really, really cool exploit because, it doesn't really... There's really nothing that you can do. It's not like a vulnerability in a system. It's redirecting people to a fake website that looks exactly like the original one. There's nothing that, let's say Canva, that was the one that they, tried to spoof. It's nothing that Canva can really do. Just saying, hey, don't go to their website, come to our website. Yeah, this one's just really effective, and it's very, very, honestly, it's kind of cool. It's cool because I haven't fallen victim to it yet, but it's cool because, yeah, it just takes a little bit of know-how. So they point out these checks might be difficult to teach because now we move away from check the URL advice that's standard. We're teaching users to do something they never do. So there you go. All users should protect their accounts with two-factor authentication. The other thing is more experienced users can do is right-click the pop-up page and choose inspect. And if the window is a bitB spawn, its URL will be hard-coded into the HTML. So there you go. It would say like very, very specific custom window size, not adjustable or anything like that. Yeah, obviously inspecting the code could be one thing, but I think that the two-factor authentication, because they can't spoof the two-factor. They can spoof the the login and password, and then of course you would just give that away. But even if they try to log in with your credentials that they just stole, they would still need your two-factor authentication. So something to really think about there. If you don't have it turned on, it's something that we highly recommend. Now, story number 2. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I thought this would be quick. No, it's already 20 minutes. Okay, so story number 2. Story number 3. Let's go ahead and talk about this. Okay, CD Projekt Red. You may know them from the likes of The Witcher and, of course, Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 went off to a rocky start, but the company's looking to shrug that off and go off to the next thing, which will be after the CP77 mess. CD Projekt Red will switch to Unreal for the next Witcher game. And why they say that is because, a lot of people claim that one of the problems with the game was the awful, unoptimized graphic engine. So, Epic and the Unreal Engine 5 is, they're really determined to get this right and use someone else's engine. So The Witcher's coming back, and it won't be TV series, novels, virtual card games, or any other project affiliated with the popular Polish fantasy series. Really, at the meat of it, the press release that we were shown is this press image that you can see up on my screen of a wolf emblem with glowing eyes buried in the snow with lots of CD Projekt Red with lots of CD Projekt Red logos plastered all over it. And what they really said is, they're saying that it is vital for CD Projekt Red to have the technical direction on our next game decided from the earliest possible phase. As in the past, we spent a lot of resources and energy to evolve and adapt Red Engine with every subsequent game release. And what that means is that, hey, we're going to adopt Unreal Engine 5. The press release says that the company will continue Red Engine development to support ongoing CP77 expansion content, patches, and other updates. CD Projekt Red seems eager to communicate with fans that that it won't be everything, but yeah, it'll be something. So unsurprising, CD Projekt Red on Monday did not give any time estimate or target platforms for the next Witcher installment, let alone a name for the game. Although what they did suggest is a new saga. So don't expect anything that, kind of has come before. It's much like Elder Scrolls 5 to Elder Scrolls 6. This next Witcher is a completely standalone environment. So that'll be good to see, which I'm all for. Part of me is like, games live too long, and I'm looking at games like GTA, I'm looking at games like The Witcher, I'm looking at games like just so many out there that have a lifespan of 10 plus years, still selling for $60 for the game. It's like, man, make something new, make something different. Games shouldn't last longer than consoles that they're on. Skyrim, there we go. That was the other game I was thinking of. It's pretty crazy. So here we go. The announcement points, so the Monday announcement points to the Polish developer entering an unusual relationship with Epic Games. The announcement claims that the deal will see CD Projekt Red devs helping Epic tailor Unreal Engine 5 for open world experiences. That kind of unusual partnership could carry with it financial incentives for both companies, but neither Epic nor CD Projekt Red explained how this portion of the announcement will play out. So yeah, it's there's a lot to it. And by the way, if you haven't seen any of the exposés, any of the examples or renderings that Unreal Engine 5 can do, highly recommend that you go check that out. It's something amazing, and this next game could be one of the best looking games ever made. I'm really excited to see what Unreal Engine 5 could do for people. So there you go. Okay. Story number 3, story number 4. Let's go ahead and talk about this. This will be our last one, and it's, again, getting a little bit on the nerdy side, but hey, this is the kind of thing that will drive innovation for everything that you do, everything that you see. It's really exciting. Check this out. Last story, Nvidia reveals H100 GPU for AI and teases the world's fastest AI supercomputer. So if you don't know about the 100 series of GPUs that are out there, they are the GPUs that Nvidia sells to the likes of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, whatever, server side, very, very powerful, very, very multi-threaded GPUs, so that they can run multiple processes at a time, crunch a lot of data, and do a lot of AI learning. This is the kind of chip that you might find in a car for, self-driving purposes. This is the kind of chip that you may find for language recognition, for, cancer patients to identify pictures in cancer patients that could be potential cancer. AI has a huge boom, and Nvidia still makes some of the best hardware for it, and this stuff is even better. So Nvidia has been benefited hugely from AI boom of the last decade. As we said, its GPU providing, is proving, not providing, a perfect match for popular data-intensive deep learning methods. As the AI sector demands for data compute grows, it wants to provide more firepower, because at that point, it's one thing to ask an end consumer to buy a $2,000 graphics card. That's very expensive, and very few people are going to jump at that, but you will still find some kind of market. Now, when you're talking about the likes of Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and your other competitors, yeah, you can kind of make them pay 10 grand for a graphics card. It's going to be really something. So they said that the company stressed the popularity of a type of machine learning known as a transformer. This method has been incredibly fruitful, powering everything from language models to OpenAI's GPT-3 medical system in DeepMind's AlphaFold. Such models have increased exponentially in size over the past few years. When OpenAI launched in 2019, it contained about 1.5 billion parameters or connections, between one core and another. When Google trained a similar model just 2 years later, so from 2019 to 2021, it had 1.6 trillion parameters. So essentially 1,000-fold in just 2 years. Moore's law would be ecstatic if it could hit that. So they mentioned training these giant models still takes months, so you fire a job and wait for 1.5 months to see what happens. A key challenge to reducing this time to train is that performance gains start to decline as you increase the number of GPUs in a data center. Because obviously, if you have, it's one thing to have like 10,000 GPUs and, you can run work and have them all communicate with each other. Let's imagine you grow that to 100,000. At that point, it's not even like having 100,000 would increase your compute power by 10x. It's more like suddenly, instead of having 10,000 connections between these things, you have 100,000 connections, 100,000 bottlenecks, 100,000 chances of dropping data, of confusing something, of, just slowing down the process altogether. So there are diminishing returns, and the more you can do on less systems means, hey, it's just better overall. So they mentioned that the new Hopper technology, Hopper architecture will help alleviate these difficulties. Named after pioneering computer scientist U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, the architecture is specialized to accelerate the training of Transformer by 6 times compared to previous gen chips. While the new 4th generation NVLink can connect up to 256 H100 GPUs at 9 times higher bandwidth than the previous generation. They're saying that what they're hoping they can do this, what might have taken months will take weeks, and what would have taken weeks will take days, and that is hugely important. They say that for the training of giant transformer models, H100 will offer up to 9 times higher performance, training in days what it would take in weeks. And that's, again, from a rep from Nvidia. The company also announced a new data center CPU, the Gray CPU Superchip, which consists of 2 CPUs connected directly via a new low-latency NVLink C2C. I can't help but imagine maybe Apple had a little bit to do with that, literally patching 2 CPUs together physically. I can imagine. So in addition to hardware and infrastructure news, Nvidia also updates to its various enterprise AI software services. And Maxine and Riva, you may not know of those, but yeah, those exist. The company also teased that it was building a new AI supercomputer, which it claims will be the world's fastest when deployed. The supercomputer, called EOS, will be built using the Hopper architecture and contain 4,600 of these GPUs to offer, check this out, just a couple of years ago, we were freaking out at the first exaflop system. Now they're looking to build one entirely on their own that will offer 18.4 exaflops of AI performance. The system will be used for NVIDIA's internal research only, and the company said it will be online in a few months' time. Really incredible. So with that being said, so during his keynote, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said during that the EOS, when running traditional supercomputer tasks, would rack 275 petaflops of compute, 1.4 times faster than the fastest scientific computer in the US. We expect EOS to be the fastest AI computer in the world. It will be the blueprint for the most advanced AI infrastructure for cloud partners. So yeah, we're going to wrap it up there, but NVIDIA really optimizing. And like, this is so cool to see a company. Like, you would imagine that just making GPUs is one thing, making CPUs is one thing, but NVIDIA in particular has done a very good job of looking at the trends and looking at the demands of their products, and not just saying, okay, everyone, you get the 3090, that's it, everyone have fun. No, they've created the Hopper system for AI, they've created the 3090 for consumers and end users, they've created Bitcoin mining GPUs that are super optimized, just running on the blockchain. They have done an incredible job of just seeing something that their products are used for and then optimizing in that direction. Obviously, things like crypto haven't panned out exactly like they wanted to see, but yeah, you can of course see that there. So again, the H100 is not for you. It's not for me. It would actually probably run slower than any other GPU that that you could buy from Nvidia, because unless you're doing AI learning and training, yeah, not that big a deal. But if you are doing AI computing, perfect. If you're playing video games, this is not the GPU for you. So everyone, that's about it for us here today. We hope that you enjoyed it. Man, I need to practice talking less, because I thought this was going to be a short one with like honestly, we did like 4 stories, and yeah, over half an hour. So thank you for your half hour. Thank you for all the time that you dedicate to us here at Computer America. And of course, computeramerica.com if you want to find out more. Until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much. We'll be back with more interviews, guests, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.